Hey, it's Jonathan, founder of Driving Academy. In today's video, we're going to be going over the 2020 version of the pre-trip inspection. Now, here at Driving Academy, we pride ourselves in making sure you have the latest information that you need so we can show you how we can actually guarantee that we get your license and guarantee we get your job in this nice truck driving field. Now, in today's video, I'm going to be giving you the latest and greatest technique that you're going to need to know if you want to be able to pass this pre-trip inspection. For those of you who don't know us or don't know how to get yourself a CDL, you first have to go pass a road test. Now the road test is going to be 2.5 hours long, and the pre-trip inspection is going to be the first part of that test. Usually this portion takes about an hour to complete, and in this video I'm going to be going over a full pre-trip inspection on one of our vehicles that we use here at the school, so you have a good idea of exactly what to say for your inspection. And if you have any questions about this inspection or getting yourself a license throughout any part of this video, all you have to do is one simple thing: give us a call, 908-525-3609, or visit our website below, cdldrivingacademy.com, and then fill out the form there, and we're more than happy to help you out. This inspection I'm going to be doing is going to be an inspection that you're going to need no matter what state of the U.S. that you live in, because all the inspections are going to be the same exact way. All right, so let's get started right away. So from the front of the vehicle, if you're going to be starting off in the front of the vehicle, the examiner can tell you to start off in a different part of the vehicle. So we're assuming that we're doing the whole inspection, we're starting in the front. There's no particular order that you guys have to go through. Everything just has to be mentioned, and has to be mentioned in the right vocabulary. So pay attention to the words that I'll be using, because that's definitely going to be the difference between you passing and you failing. So from the top down, we're going to talk about our clearance lights up top. So our clearance lights, we're going to have to say that they are clean and functional, they are the proper color amber, and they are not broken or damaged in any way. We're going to come down. Our windshield wipers are securely mounted, rubber is good, seals intact, and operating smoothly. As we come down more, we're going to have our headlights. Our headlights are clean and functional. They're not cracked or broken, and they are the proper color, which is clear. Our fog lights over here are clean and functional, not cracked or broken, and the proper color is clear as well. Over here we're going to have our mirrors. Our mirrors and mirror brackets are securely mounted. Our mirrors are adjusted properly and clean and secure. And then if we look underneath here, we're going to be looking for puddles on the ground or dripping fluid on the underside of the engine or transmission, and I don't see any of that happening from the front. Now if you notice, I didn't talk about the grill or the license plate. Those things you can say, but you don't have to say as a requirement. So here at our school, we like to keep things as simple as possible, so you have a higher chance of passing the test the first time. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to open up the hood, and let's see exactly what's underneath there. Alright, so now that we open up the hood, we're going to be talking about different things inside the engine itself. Now you have to understand that every engine is going to be a little bit different, which means the components are going to look different, they're going to be in different parts. So I'm going to be describing this engine that we have for our vehicle here. So, the first thing I'm going to be checking for again is puddles on the ground. There is no puddles on the ground, and there is no dripping fluid on the underside of the engine or transmission. Also, all my hoses in this engine are in good condition and not leaking as well. From here, I can check my power steering fluid. My power steering fluid, this is my dipstick here. It is at safe operating range, and it is above the refill mark. My power steering, this is going to be my oil level dipstick right over here. I'm going to check my oil level. I must check it with the engine off itself. The oil level, it has to be above the refill mark and safe operating range. For the test itself, you do not have to pull it out. If you choose to, you can. Just make sure you clean up after yourself. As we come down here on the items that we can easily see, over here is going to be our power steering box. This is our power steering box. It is mounted securely. It has no leaks or damage to it, and there's no missing nuts or bolts to the power steering box. Power steering hoses, which is all the hoses leading from the box to the power steering fluid, are all in good condition and not leaking as well. Over here on the bottom, we're going to have our steering linkage. This is our pitman arm, our drag link, and our tie rod is in the bottom there. We can't really see it. Our pitman arm, drag link, and tie rod are not worn or cracked. The joints and sockets are not worn or loose. and there's no missing nuts, bolts, or cotter keys. Alright? From there, we're going to be talking about different engine components. Now in the back here, where all these colorful hoses are going to, is going to be our air compressor. Our air compressor is going to be gear driven. It is operating properly, not damaged or leaking, and it is mounted securely. Over here, behind this thick hose here, is going to be our alternator. Our alternator is going to be belt driven. It is operating properly, it is not damaged or leaking, and it is mounted securely. Now, because it is belt driven, we got to talk about the belt. The belt has no more than 3/4 inch of play, and it has no cracks or frays. Behind this frame here, we cannot see it, is going to be our power steering pump. Our power steering pump is also going to be gear driven. It is operating properly, not damaged or leaking, and mounted securely. Now, because it's not belt driven, we don't have to talk about the belt at all. Alright? And that's everything that we have to talk about on this side of the engine itself. Let's go over to the passenger side of the engine, and we'll see what we got there. Alright, so now that we're on the passenger side of the engine, we're also going to be checking the hoses on this side as well. All my hoses are in good condition and not leaking. And we're just going to do another check on the floor and make sure there's no puddles on the ground and there's no dripping fluid on the underside of the engine or transmission. Over here, we're going to have our coolant level, or coolant reservoir. Now, over here, we do have a sight glass because we have clear plastic. So we're going to say that the adequate level and is above the refill mark. If you did not have a sight glass, you would have to describe what you would have to say by removing the cap. Now, you would remove the cap when the engine is cold. You definitely don't want to remove the cap when the engine's hot, or it's going to cause a lot of damage. And then you check from the inside and see exactly what kind of level you're at. Also on this side, we're going to have our water pump. Our water pump is going to be behind this frame right here. Our water pump is going to be gear driven as well. It is operating properly. It is not damaged or leaking, and it is mounted securely as well. And that's pretty much everything you have to talk about when it comes to your engine. You don't have to talk about the turbo. You don't have to talk about every little nut and bolt or cranny inside there. We're just giving you the basic things that you need because we know that you want to pass your test as easy as possible and as quick as possible. Again, if you have any questions about this whatsoever, give us a call, 908-525-3609. We're more than happy to help you in any which way that we can. We have a whole bunch of courses available, including courses that can guarantee that we get you that license. So now the next thing we're going to do, we're going to go back to the driver's side, and we're going to be checking the suspension, the brakes, the tires, and everything like that. So follow me. Alright, so now we're going to get into, some people say, the most difficult part of the test, and that's going to be your suspension, your brakes, and your tires. The reason why it's the most difficult part of the test is you have so many of these throughout the whole vehicle. So if you miss one of those items on this front axle, and you miss the same item on every axle moving forward, you've missed that item 3 or 4 times, and that's going to be very hard to pass after that. So it's very important that you get this locked down and perfect. So what we're going to do is start off with the suspension. So over here we're going to have our leaf springs. Our leaf springs are not missing, shifted, cracked, or broken. Our spring hangers is going to be this right here. Our spring hangers are going to be securely mounted to the frame, not cracked or broken. Our U-bolts are right here, and these things are going to be not missing any nuts or bolts, and they're securely mounted to the axle. Right here we're going to have our shock absorber. Our shock absorber is securely mounted and is not leaking. And on the bottom and on the top of the shock absorber, we're going to have our bushings. Our bushings are not missing or damaged, and they're securely mounted to the frame and axle itself. So that's everything for the suspension on the front end. Of course, every truck could be a little bit different, so make sure you check out your truck in particular. Now we're going to talk about the brakes. So our brakes have 5 different brake items. So over here we're going to have our slack adjuster and push rod. Our slack adjuster and push rod cannot be missing any parts. Cannot move more than 1 inch with the brakes released when pulled by hand. So the brakes released, pulled by hand, when you push this thing back, cannot move more than 1 inch. Over here we're going to have our brake chamber. Our brake chamber cannot be dented, cracked, broken, or leaking, and it cannot be missing any clamps or nuts or bolts. And this is what the clamp would look like right here. Next we're going to have our brake hoses, lines, and couplings. Our brake hoses is this item, brake lines, and then brake couplings are where they connect. Cannot be cracked, worn, or leaking. Now behind the tire we're going to also have our brake drum and our brake lining. So right here is our brake drum, which is this piece right over here, And our brake drum cannot be cracked or broken, has to be free of contaminants such as debris, oil, and grease. And our brake lining itself cannot be worn dangerously thin. So as you can see, it's this brake pad looking thing right over here. And where visible, it cannot be worn dangerously thin. Alright, so that's everything for the brakes itself. And now we're going to go into the tire. Now this is our front tire, so we're going to check our tread depth is no less than 4/32 of an inch. Our tread is evenly worn. There's no cuts or damage to the tread or to the sidewall of the tire itself, right? Over here we're going to talk about our rim. Our rim is not cracked or damaged and has no signs of welding repairs. These are our lug nuts here. All of our lug nuts are present. There is no signs of looseness such as rust trails or shiny treads. They are now cracked or distorted lug nuts or bolt holes itself. Over here we're going to have our hub seal. Our hub seal is going to be at adequate level and it is not leaking. Alright. Over here on the bottom we're going to have our tire pressure valve. So this is our cap, stem, and valve are all present, not cracked, and not leaking. And then we'd be checking the tire pressure with an air gauge, and it has to be in this tire anywhere from 90 to 100 psi. So now that we're done with the tires, we're going to be talking about the mirrors itself. Our mirrors and mirror brackets are secure and adjusted properly, and there's no broken or loose fittings itself. Our door opens and closes properly from the outside. The seal is intact and the hinges itself are secure. Over here we're going to have our flashing light or turn signal light. It's going to be yellow in color, clean and functional, not cracked or broken. Over here we're going to have our steps. It is solid, clear of objects, and securely mounted to the tractor frame. We're going to say the same thing about these steps here. They're solid, clear of objects, and securely mounted to the tractor frame itself. Now, we're going to come over here to the heart of everything. This is where everything connects. Alright, so now we're going to talk about the air electric lines. So my air electric lines are not cut, chafed, spliced, or worn. On my electric line, there's no steel braid showing through. Now we're going to talk about the connectors. So my air electric line on the trailer itself, my glad hands are secure, they're not leaking, and they're in place. My electrical plug is firmly seated and also in place. My connections on my trailer on my tractor are also not leaking, and they are in place as well. Next we're going to talk about our frame. So we're going to talk about our frame member and cross member, which is the bar going across to make sure it's nice and secure. Is going to make sure that there's no cracks, holes, or damage to the frame or cross member itself. This piece here is going to be the catwalk. Our catwalk has to be solid, free of any objects, and secure to the tractor frame, which it is. Underneath here, if you follow me, is going to be our drive shaft, this big metal piece right here. This is our drive shaft. It is secure, it is not bent, and the couplings are at the end. The couplings should be free of any foreign objects. You don't want any squirrels or anything climbing up in there and then having roadkill, right? That's definitely not a good plan for you. So we got our drive shaft, we got our frame itself. Next thing we're going to talk about is our exhaust, which is on the other side of the vehicle. Our exhaust is going to be securely mounted, free from any leaks or damage. There is no leaks such as carbon soot or rust itself. If there is a leak, it's usually going to be on the bottom of the exhaust itself, right? So you want to make sure that you're checking that out. Now, on this tractor, we don't have a fuel tank on the driver's side, so when we talk about the other side, we're going to be talking about the fuel tank there. Alright, so as we're going past, we're going to have our header board. This is our header board, which is the front of the vehicle. It is on an enclosed trailer like this. It has no holes, bulges, or cuts on this, and it is secure enough and strong enough to secure the cargo itself, right? So now we're going to be moving forward. And again, any lights or reflectors, you are going to have to talk about it. So this is reflective tape. It is clean and functional. It is the proper color, and it's not damaged. Over here we're going to have a reflector. It is yellow, or amber I should say. It is clean and functional, and it is also not too damaged. Well, this is damaged, but we still got a little bit left on there, right? So as we're going through, let's talk about these tires. So over here we're going to have our splash guards. Our splash guards are going to be securely mounted to the frame itself, securely mounted. And then we're going to have our tires itself. So our tires and tread depth is on the back tires is going to be no less than 2/32 of an inch. The tread has to be evenly worn, no cuts or damage to the tread or to the sidewall of the tire. Our rim has to be free of any kind of welding repairs or welding damage or any damage whatsoever. Over here we're going to have our axle seal. Our axle seal has to be free of any leaks, and if there was a sight glass, we would have to check for adequate level. Over here we're going to have our lug nuts. They are all present, securely mounted, not cracked or distorted. They show no signs of leak, no signs of looseness, such as rust trails or shiny treads itself. And the bolt holes are also not cracked or distorted. Underneath one of these holes here is going to be our valve cap and stem. Our valve cap and stem cannot be damaged or missing or leaking. And we would check the tire pressure on both of these tires because there is a dual tire here with a tire gauge, and it would have to be 90 to 100 psi itself. Now, because there is a dual tire, we are going to have spacers in between these tires. So in this case, we're going to have bud spacers. Our bud spacers have to be evenly centered. The tires have to be evenly separated, and it has to be free of any kind of foreign debris inside and in between the tires itself. So we would do a manual check by putting our hands through or just getting in there and checking out yourself. Now on the back here, we're also going to have splash guards, or in this case, mud flaps. They also are securely mounted to the tractor frame. All right. Now, in between the tire, we're going to have to talk about our fifth wheel connection. So follow me underneath the vehicle, and let's see what's going to be happening. All right, so if you look, wondering where the hell are we? Are we in some kind of dungeon? No, we're not. We're actually underneath of a trailer. This is the place that most people have never been, so welcome. So why are we under here? We're going to have to check this piece right here. This is where we actually connect the tractor and the trailer. So over here we're going to have our fifth wheel. So if we start from the top down, or however you want to start, we're going to have our locking jaws in the middle right here. Our locking jaw has to be fully locked around the kingpin itself. It has to be secure, right? Over here on the top, our fifth wheel skid plate has to be properly lubricated, and the fifth wheel has to be secured to the platform. Over here we're going to have our fifth wheel platform. Our platform itself is properly secure, has no cracks or damage, and is secured to the frame itself. Over here we do have a sliding fifth wheel, which means that we can actually move the fifth wheel back and forward. And in this case we have to make sure that all the pins are secure and in place on this sliding fifth wheel. We're going to have our trailer apron. Our trailer apron is securely, is not damaged. Inside here we're going to have our kingpin. Our kingpin is coming down from the trailer, is also not bent or damaged itself. And we're going to have to make sure that there is no gap in between the fifth wheel skid plate and the trailer apron. So as you can see, there is no sunlight. Now on the side here, we are going to have what we call a release arm. Our release arm has to be in the engaged position, which means, and the safety latch has to be locked in place, right? So while we're down here as well, there's a few other things that we can check. We can check these tail lights, which are going to be clean and functional. They are of the proper color and they're not cracked or broken. Back over here, we can also check our air ride suspension, which is part of our suspension system. They cannot be damaged or leaking. And now from back here, it's going to be hard to see. So let's go back to the tire, and we have to talk about the rest of our suspension and brakes. Alright, so now that we saw underneath there, so now let's talk about what we can see here and what we cannot see. So when it comes to the rest of your suspension, we're going to have our spring hangers, which is right here. Our spring hangers have to be mounted securely to the frame. They cannot be cracked or damaged or broken. Our leaf springs are going to be on the bottom here. Our leaf spring cannot be missing, shifted, cracked, or broken. We're also going to have a torque arm back here that we cannot see. Our torque arm cannot be missing or damaged. In between, in the middle of the leaf springs, we are going to have our U-bolts. Our U-bolts cannot be missing and cannot be loose or missing any nuts or bolts as well. We're going to also have bushings back there. Our bushings cannot be missing or damaged. has to be securely mounted to the tractor frame. And we're also going to have our shock absorber. Our shock absorber cannot be leaking, and it has to be securely mounted. Now back over here, we also cannot see, there's going to be those 5 brake items, the same brake items that we had up top there, which is going to be your brake chambers, your brake hoses, lines, and couplings, your brake drum, your brake lining, and your slack adjuster and push rod. You're going to have to say the exact same thing that I said over there for the front that you're going to have to say in the back. Don't skip this part, because this is big points on the test, right? So make sure you watch what I said in the front so you know exactly what you're talking about. So as we move forward, again, any kind of reflective tape that we see, we're going to have to make sure that they are clean and functional, proper color, and not damaged or broken. Same thing with any lights that you see on the top of the trailer as well. So now we're going to have to talk about the landing gear itself. So our landing gear is secure. It is fully raised. The support frame and the landing pads are not damaged itself, and the crank handle is secure, right? So as we move forward, this is to hold your tire. You don't really have to talk about this. This is, if you have a spare tire, some trailers have this. Over here, this is a door tie. If your trailer has a door tie, you are going to have to say that the door tie is secure. Over here, we're going to have another light, which is going to be a turn signal light, which is clean and functional, amber in color, not cracked or broken. Over here, we're going to have a side door. If your trailer does have a side door, you are going to have to open and close it. You're going to have to make sure that you open and close it from the outside and opens and closes properly. You can talk about the hinges itself and the seal if you choose to. However, it's not in the book. So on the test, you would have to open and close this door, make sure it's open and closing. Over here, we're going to have to make sure that the door chain, which is this right over here, is also securely mounted as well. All right? So as we go down the side of the trailer, we're going to come back to these last tires here. Now these tires are going to be the same tires that we talked about on the drive tires. So let's just go over them real quick. You're going to have your tread depth is not going to be less than 2/32 of an inch. The tread is evenly worn. There's no cuts or damage to the tread or to the sidewall of the tire. The rim is not damaged or has any welding repairs on it. My valve cap and stem are not missing or damaged. My axle seal itself is not leaking, and because there is a sight glass in this vehicle, we would have to make sure that it is at adequate level. My lug nuts itself are all present. There's no cracks or distortions on lug nuts or the bolt holes, and there's no signs of looseness such as rust trails or shiny treads. Now, when it comes to the tire pressure, we are going to have to check the tire pressure on both tires with a tire gauge itself, and that must be 90 to 100 psi, just like the rest of them. Now, over here, we're also going to have a spacer because they're dual tires in the middle, so the spacer has to be evenly centered. The tires have to be evenly separated, and there should be no debris or foreign objects in between the tires itself, so we definitely check for that. Over here, we're going to have our splash guards or mud flaps, and again, it has to be securely mounted. Now, behind here, we are going to have our suspension system and our brake system. So again, what we can see our spring hangers. Our spring hangers are not cracked or broken. Our torque arm is securely mounted and is not damaged. Our leaf springs is going to be behind here, which we cannot see, cannot be missing, shifted, cracked, or broken. Our U-bolts cannot be loose or missing any bolts. Our bushings must be free from damage and must be present. And all my mounts should be secured to the vehicle frame and axle. We are also going to have our brake system back there as well. Now, on this trailer, we do not have air ride suspension, so we don't have to talk about that part of the suspension system. But all the 5 brake items that we have in the front, we're also going to have here. So you're going to have your brake hoses, lines, and couplings. You're going to have your brake chambers, your slack adjusters and push rods. You're also going to have your brake drums and your brake linings as well, right? So that being said, if we come along to the back of the trailer, now we're towards the back. So any kind of reflective tape, again, same thing, clean and functional, of proper color and in good condition. Over here, we're going to have our tail lights or turn signals and brake lights are also clean and functional. They are red of the proper color and not cracked or broken. Over here, we're also going to have lights on top, which is going to be our clearance lights. They are red, the proper color, and clean and functional as well. Now this door, we would have to open and close this door. Of course, we don't have to open it all the way, but we do have to make sure that the door opens and closes from the outside. So the way to open and close this door, this is a roll-up door. You would have to open and close from the outside. I don't want you to see what's in there because that can get me in trouble. I'm joking. It's just cones, or here we like to call cones actual people, because when you run these things over, it's like you're running over somebody. So let's make sure we keep the cones nice and safe. So my door opens and closes properly from the outside, and all my locking mechanism is working properly itself, right? So that's pretty much the back of the vehicle itself. Now the examiner in most cases is going to ask you, hey, is there anything different on this side of the vehicle? According to this vehicle, the only thing that is different is going to be that fuel tank, so let's go and talk about that. Alright, so now that we're on the passenger side of the vehicle, we're talking about the fuel tank, which is the only thing that is different on this in particular vehicle itself. So my fuel tank is secure. The straps are connected to the tractor frame itself. The cap is on tight, and there's no leaking from the tank or from the lines itself. And that's it, everybody. That is the CDL pre-trip inspection for 2020. If you listen to exactly the instructions that I gave you in this video, then there should be no issue that you won't pass your test. If you want some extra help, you want some hands-on training, or you want our exclusive script that we give to our students, that we added a few things there that I might have not said here because I can't give everything out for free, right? Then you definitely want to give us a call, because we have an exclusive script that we give to our students. This is what it looks like there. Of course, it's going to be blurred out because you can't really see it. But if you definitely want that, that's going to definitely increase your chances of getting yourself a license and passing the test the first time. So if you are interested, give us a call, 908-525-3609. We're located in Linden, New Jersey. We have plans of expanding nationwide. And our main mission is to help 1 million people just like you get on the road to freedom with a CDL license. So if you want to be part of our crew, and you want to be just like these guys here, who are now currently getting on their road to freedom, this is what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to give us a call, 908-525-3609, and you can come have fun with some of our students here who are loving what they do every single day, and we help them get on their road to freedom by getting them a license. We're the only school around that can actually guarantee that we get you a license. If you want to know how our guarantee process works, again, give us a call. And we also have free lifetime job placement. We offer payment plans, and we are open up 7 days a week, which means we can work around any kind of schedule you do have. So again, give us a call, 908-525-3609, or visit the website below, cdldrivingacademy.com. Again, that's cdldrivingacademy.com. I hope you enjoyed this video. Check out all the other videos that we have on here. We're getting close to 400, if not more. And make sure you give us a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Thank you, and have a great day. Let's go have some fun.